This is Python's Paradise. This is your host, Greg Gilbert, aka the Python Hyena, straight out of Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada, here on February the 1st, 2023. And you know, folks, this is a first for me. I've never recorded one of these on my phone before because some trash called BitLocker has decided to lock me out of my laptop. And it's got 24 hours to unlock me, or my laptop might get locked into the dumpster outside. We've all had those moments. But folks, I have a wonderful guest on the show with me today who's been wonderfully patient with me while I explain this to him. And although he was extremely violent in a movie I was familiar with him in, he's reformed and he's very patient when it comes to computer stuff. Folks, I give you the awesome John Philbin. How do you do, John?
I'm great. How are you? Thanks for the intro.
Well, I appreciate having you on here and being able to do this. Before we get to the films and whatnot, I'd like to get a little bit of your background and what got you into the business.
Well, you were right in the first thing. I have reformed, definitely have reformed. Oh, that's a handsome picture of you. Yeah. Just want everyone to know that I do have my hair still. Your picture reminded me of that. But it's freezing cold here in LA. I don't know, like it's just hardly ever gets this cold. Not that I always hang out in silk pajamas and a cap, but I was on a meeting earlier and someone said I looked cute, so I kept it. That's this kind of ego I have. What got me in the business? I was a surfer actor in high school, and I decided I wanted to try acting professionally because I was not good enough to be a professional surfer. I wasn't, But I went to college and I studied acting because I didn't want to start doing it yet. I wanted to go to college because I was very immature and I didn't really want to work. I wanted to explore. And I did. I explored a lot in college. I checked a lot of things out. I decided, yeah, the only thing I really want to pursue is acting. So I did some plays after I graduated. It was USC's acting school. It was very good, and it was in LA, so I could see if I could handle living in LA, if I wanted to live in if the city. And it turns out I love the city. I love LA. I still live in LA. In fact, I live near where I used to live in the 80s when I was a professional full-time actor. But anyway, it was kind of like a dream come true for me. And then for about 15 years, and then my immaturity caught up with me, and I kind of crashed and burned, and I had to relearn all my lessons the hard way. So when you say I've been reborn, yeah, I got reborn. Like I had to do another career. Like I had to become a professional surf instructor. And now that I'm older and retired from SAG, I'm on my pension, but I still pay my dues. I've just started acting again, and it's been education. It's been humbling, and it's been great. I love it. So I've kind of come a huge couple of full circle cycles in my life, but I'll answer any questions you have. I'm not shy.
Let's start with The New Kids, because that was probably the film I first really heard of you in, and of course it was directed by Sean S. Cunningham, who had made Friday the 13th and Spring Break and films like that. And then he went back to what most people call exploitation. So talk about getting cast in this movie, and if you were familiar with Sean before you got it.
Okay. Yeah, I think it was the fourth movie I did. I was not familiar with Sean Cunningham. However, I am now. Friday the 13th. I didn't know he did Spring Break. That's awesome. I don't know when he did it, if it was before or after, but I love exploitation films. Love them. Sean Cunningham was just this really smart businessman when he did Friday the 13th, and he made so much money. He's just this really smart businessman. The way I met him was I had done pretty good work in like 2 movies, Grandview, USA, and Children of the Corn. And it might have been my 3rd movie, and I got an audition for it here in LA, and I did the audition, and they went, yeah, okay, we're thinking about it, put him in this ensemble group. So we're going to fly him to Florida, where Sean works and lives, and where we're going to film this movie in Homestead, Florida. And we're going to get all these actors together and audition them together to see how they work. And so we went over there. We had kind of a boot camp of physical activity, because The New Kids was a very physically violent film. We had to do a lot of physical running and coordination and fighting and stuff and acting, and we did. And I was very, very confident back then and very enthusiastic. And I was very lucky when I was younger, you know, my timing was good. So they said, yeah, they flew me back to LA, and I got the call saying I was going back to Florida for 12 weeks to film it in Homestead. And there I got to meet Jimmy Spader, fucking amazing guy, and work with Eric Stoltz, who was my friend from USC. I'd never worked with him in a film before. So it was a dream come true for me to work in a film with Eric Stoltz and Jimmy Spader, with Sean Cunningham directing. And I was just, you know, I was turned on by the whole thing. It was really exciting. That's all I got. Like when it came out, I was like, I wish that movie did better. I wish, in fact, I'd like to get some pictures from it and like take them to these horror conventions. You're the first person that's really asked me about The New Kids in a long, long time. And I thought I'd like to see that. I'd like to do a horror convention, and as that being the primary thing, that'd be cool.
You know what? They should be reaching out, you know, and seeing that they can get you at the convention. Because I mean, of course, you were in Children of the Corn as well, which is a cult classic horror film.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, how about that James Spader has really gone on to play some. I mean, even in the Avengers movies, you know. He took the Incredible Hulk to take him out.
Yeah, I mean, he was kind of coming up at the time, you know, and he struck it so big in the late 80s, you know, with those Hughes films, you know, like playing the bad guy in all those teen dramas. And I just remember watching him rehearse lines and stuff at the Chateau. He was just the most interesting guy. And he, you know, God, what a sweetheart, man. And I think I crashed his wedding once. Yeah, I did. I crashed once at one of his weddings. I was just a fan and a friend, you know, but I wasn't that close. But I always wished I was a little closer. But he's a cool character and a super talent.
There you go. And of course, the absolutely stunning Lori Loughlin, who of course was ran into a few problems as of late, but
yeah, it's good to go to jail. I went to USC. When I went to USC, it was called the University of Second Choice, because no one wanted to go there first, because it was considered a dumb school just for rich, dumb kids, you know. And I went there because it had a good acting program. I had already been to college. I'd already been to UC Santa Barbara, but I didn't, you know, in my opinion, the only reason I went there is to live in LA and to go to an acting school. But her husband, Massimo, was in my fraternity, the Beta Theta Pi fraternity. And then when I heard that she had to go, and he and her, my fraternity brother and my beautiful co-star from The New Kids, Lori, had to go to jail in order for their kids to go to USC. I was like, fuck, USC is a great school. Now you got to, you know, people got to be willing to do time to go to that school. So the reputation of my alma mater has increased, because going to jail is good street. It's good creds for anybody, man. I recommend it.
Well, you know, she was supposed to be the good girl in this film. What's she doing going to jail?
People change, bro. It's just so funny. I love it. And people under the right circumstances are capable of anything.
I gotta ask, you know, was she as stunning in person as she appears?
Yeah, I asked Sean why he cast her, because at the time I was a pretentious film actor, and I thought, you know, she was from TV, so why did he cast a TV actor? And he goes, she looks good from every angle. She looks good. No matter where you put the camera, she looks good. And I that was one of my educational comments about film acting, you know, like it's what you look like from the camera, you know, like it doesn't matter what you look like in person. It doesn't matter what you seem like in person. All that matters is what you look like from the camera's point of view, on the screen, in the box, like we are right now, you know. That's the only
Absolutely.
thing the director cares about, you know. How does it look that, you know? So, you know, it's part of my education. She looks good from every angle, and she still does, I think.
Oh,
She's,
I think so.
I admire her now. I admire anyone who's done their time in prison and or jail, whatever, and is willing to sacrifice for their family.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, Talk about some of the little antidotes about filming, because I know you got physical in that film.
Well, you know, stunt fighting is different from real fighting, and it has been so. I've trained a lot in stunt fighting because of Point Break, and you know, I did a lot of violent. You know, the new kids, we did a lot of fighting, and I just had this confidence that, like, look, this guy's not going to hit me in the face, so I'm, you know, and I'm not going to, you know, I'm really good. You know, I'm an athlete. You know, so I'm not going to hurt. I'm not going to get hurt doing this. So I can just be 100% confident, you know, if I learn the angles, bisecting the angle of the lens. So all our punches are thrown, they all miss. Now fighting has changed since then. That was the 80s. The way they show screen fighting now is so different. I'd like to take a new course. I'd like to do a film where they show you how, you know, where I see how they do John Wick work, you know, like that'd be incredible to be on the set and watch that. But back then it was so hammy and big, huge haymaker misses and stuff, but it would sell if, you know, if the angles were right. Recently, I had an opportunity, and it hasn't happened in a long time. I was getting my toenails polished down in Ventura for my wedding, and a crazy guy came in and started scaring and harassing and terrorizing everyone in there, the women in there. I was the only man in there, and I was like, am I supposed to take care of this? So I got out and we got physical. I had my hand around his throat, and I, you know, threw a punch in anger at his face to try to get him, you know, out into the street where maybe get hit by a bus or something. But I realized when I threw my punch, I threw it like a film actor would throw a punch, you know, to miss. It was just really, I was like, fuck, man, too much film acting training. I'd like to, you know, like you learn all the wrong things when it comes to real life, but I'd like to see how they train for Wick. But there were times, like, I remember we were shooting at night, and sometimes that can get fucks with your brain and your coordination. You know, we were doing a lot of night shoots in the carnival. And there was a scene where Jimmy had a lot of technical things to do with a gun and going through this heavy equipment gear, and he just couldn't do it. Like the gun was going off the wrong place, and the movements are so technical. It's like a dance, but you don't have that much time to rehearse. So you're acting at the same time. You're doing all these technical things late at night. We hadn't been sleeping, and he just couldn't do it over and over again. I just remember him saying, have you ever just like shut down where you just can't do anything right, you know? And it hadn't happened to me yet. I was like, no, but dude, you're great. You know, just take a break, you know, don't worry about it. We'll get it eventually. And he was like, it's like the first time it had ever happened to him. And then it happened to me in a Young Riders episode where I had to bring Coin in and with a key, I had to open a jail thing. It's so technical and physical, and you're supposed to be acting at the same time. They say action. I just couldn't do it. Coins were flying everywhere. The door wasn't working. I couldn't fake it. I mean, over and over again. And people are just like, they're getting sick and tired of me. They think I'm doing it on purpose, but I'm not. Sometimes actors just shut down with the too much physical things going on. And it happens to everybody at one point or another. It's very technical.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's talk about Children of the Corn. You know, you had Linda Hamilton, of course, that same year she did Terminator. You know, she was on a roll that year.
Yeah, she asked, I think she asked Fritz Kurz, who directed Children of the Corn. She was like, hey, I got this offer to do this movie, and it's a sci-fi movie. It's supposed to take place, like, we go into the future and we come back, but it's starring opposite Arnold Schwarzenegger. Do you think I should do it? And Fritz Kurz is like, no, definitely not. You should not do it. That sounds stupid. But that's, you know, that you never know what a movie's going to be. So like, I didn't know what Children of the Corn was going to be. That was the first movie I ever did. And I got a small part in it. And it was a bunch of first movie that Courtney Gaines did. It was the first movie that John Franklin did. The other stars of Children of the Corn. Peter Horton was a TV actor, which I had a prejudice, a contempt prior to investigation, prejudice about, like a total naive and sophomoric and, stupid prejudice against, So I didn't think much of doing that movie, but now, what is it, 40 years later or something? I go to these conventions and talk about Children of the Corn. People want to hear stories about Children of the Corn. They don't want to hear about, Grandview, USA, movies I thought were really important and going to change my life that no one's interested in. What they're really interested in, horror fans are the best in the world. And so that movie that I didn't think much of, I got my SAG card and I was getting ready to go do an important film. That movie turns out to be one of the movies I'm most grateful I got an opportunity to be in, because people still want to talk about it. Horror fans, it's great.
Well, Grandview, USA, you were in amongst a huge ensemble of stars.
I know. Can you believe it? Fuck,
Mhm.
I'd like to see that movie again too, man. I should go look at these old lady movies. I'll bet they're really funny and to watch. But yeah, Patrick Swayze, I was a fan. Tommy Howell's just fucking beautiful. Jamie Lee Curtis, how do you not love her? But
Yeah,
they were like Carol Cook and Troy Donahue. It was just a trip. John Cusack was in it. It was fucking so cool. I was
Jennifer
just
Jason
focused.
Lee.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was so great, man. God,
yeah.
Randall Kleiser directed that, and then he ended up, hiring me in a movie called North Shore, which is a movie that changed my life for sure. So it's kind of all connected, we're really, back then it seemed like everybody knew everybody else, and so we're all 1 degree of separation, maybe 2 degrees of separation at the most from everybody in the entertainment industry. It was so weird. It's different now. I mean, I was out of it for 20 years, so I come back into it now. It's totally different, understandably, it's an industry and it's constantly changing. But back then, I think everybody kind of knew everybody and what was going on, and there wasn't as much content being made, and there weren't as many actors. It was before reality TV, so that had not infiltrated television or film in any way. And it was just so magical and so fun. I'm so glad I had an opportunity to do it. I'm really grateful for it now. Back then, I didn't know what was going on. I was just doing everything I could to be the best I could and get every job I could get. Now I'm just grateful I got those jobs.
Well, and of course, you mentioned North Shore changed your life. Now, how did that change your life?
Right. Well, so I did. I was a surfer, before I was an actor, I was a surfer. And it was my recreational thing. When I decided to become a professional actor, I stopped surfing. I was just focused on acting. I was living in Hollywood, was going on auditions every day. Surfing just it was something I used to do, but I never talked about it. I never did it. I hardly ever did it. Sometimes I would do it if I was like, I didn't have it, but I was very busy back then. But I got a script from my agent, from Randall Kleiser, to play a surfer in a movie, the guy that surfs, that lives in Hawaii on the North Shore of Oahu and surfs pipeline. So North Shore of Oahu is the mecca of all surfing. It's going on. There's a contest going on at Pipeline right now that North Shore, was about, and the Pipe Masters. It's happening right now, and I'm talking about it. And right before I talked to you, I was watching it. It is the center of my universe for surfing. Surfing was the most important thing to me in the world. Besides acting, when I got a job to be an actor to play a surfer that surfs pipeline on the North Shore, it was a cross of everything I loved in the world, like everything I loved. And I was so lucky to get it. I only got it because I did Grandview, USA for Randall Kleiser, and I played a mentally challenged handicapped person named Cowboy, and he thought the work was really good, and he figured that I could take my style of method acting and become another person to play this character, because the director didn't see it. People just like, what, the guy's not even blonde. He's like, we need a blonde guy who surfs, and I surf, trust me. But anyway, I got the part. It was my most informed work. I've never done better work in a film than I did to play the character Turtle in North Shore. And it just turns out, so happens, because you don't know when you make a film. It bombed when it came out. I forgot about it and moved on. But 30 years later, it became a cult hit in the surf world, and the surf world loved us because of VHS and cable. It's become this iconic, the character I played has become an iconic character in the surf world. You know, I didn't do anything. I just did the best work I could at the time, but that movie has come full cycle. Now there's 3 generations of people that are fans of it, because it's never been a movie like it. It's about this place. It was the first movie to capture this place that has become the most important place in the world of surfing. And I just happen to be the most colorful character in that movie. So as you know, I became a surf instructor, and I'm a surfer. I started surfing more as I started working more. I started surfing again because of that movie. Jerry Lopez, who was my guru, my hero, told me I should always continue to surf and never quit again. And I did. And it probably was to the detriment of my acting career, because I would go surfing instead of stay here and audition for roles that I might have gotten. I thought, well, I'll get a role when I get home, which is not the way to approach acting at all. But surfing became important to me again. And now, you know, I kind of make, since that movie, I've worked on a number of surf movies and become kind of a surfer actor, you know, like before I was just an actor and then actor who surfed, and now I'm like a surfer actor, who knows. But it's just important to me, and I love it. And it's changed my life in the surfing world, that's for sure. And the surfing world is important to me. It's given me so much. So it's just one of those things that I'm so grateful for, that I'm so lucky I got to be a part of that. And it did change my life. And I only got it because I did Grandview USA, which is Randall Kleiser's movie. So that's just another example of how we're all connected in this business. And now I'm talking to you. Now we're connected.
There we go. Well, I appreciate being connected, you know, especially given the screw up for today, you know, but.
Oh, that's nothing, bro. That's not a screw. That's fine. I hate computer. Look, I'm not patient when it comes to my computer. If I get a thing, I'm like, furious, but I'm patient when you're having problems with it.
Oh, jeepers. Whatever that's asking for my BitLocker key. What's my BitLocker key, you know?
I know. I hate all that shit. I hate it all.
Yeah. Like, just let me on my computer, you know? So
Yeah.
I don't know what that is, but nonetheless, you're my 3rd guest from Return of the Living Dead. I've had Tom Matthews on here 3 times, and I met him at Frightmare in the Falls and Horrorama, 2 conventions last year.
Shit, I'm probably freezing on your screen. I have
Nope,
a bad
you're
internet
not.
connection. It's my problem.
Nope, I can see you fine.
I might have frozen.
Oh, you're
You
frozen.
keep talking. I got a bad connection. I'm sorry.
That's
there,
okay.
you're back. You're back.
And then Linnea Quigley, I also interviewed, and I also met her at Horrorama one year in Toronto. So yeah, that's interesting to talk about that film.
You know, there was an art, you know, everyone's going to say the same thing. We're just a bunch of young actors. There was an actor strike going on. This is the last film to go into production, and it had Dan O'Bannon as the writer director, and he was famous from Aliens and a genius, you know, in a horror world. And we're like, yeah, fuck, I want to work. I'd love to get into this film. We auditioned. He had a vision. We didn't know what it was. He auditioned us over and over again until he found the group he wanted. This hardly ever happens anymore. He found our group, and then we just went into this crazy production, a lot of nights, a lot of wet nights, and a lot of, you know, practical special effects and young actors. And, you know, he didn't bother me, I guess he liked what I was doing. I didn't know what I was doing though. I thought, like, I'm going to suck in this. But as it turns out, you know, that the thing that made me feel like I was so bad, worked for the character in his mind. You know, he's got a vision. When that movie came out, I had no fucking idea how funny that movie was going to be and how crazy and weird. I don't think anybody did. Some guys say they did, but whatever. Anyway, it came, and the music soundtrack was the best soundtrack I'd ever heard. Mm-hmm. It touched my life because I was a punk rock, you know, new wave kid in the clubs before I was a professional actor. And I got to, you know, play a new wave kid who's trying to hang out with new wave punk kids. And it was just, I was an outsider, and I couldn't get the girl, and I was a nerd, and I always said the wrong thing. And, you know, but in the end, it was sensitive and sweet. It was just wonderful. to see years later. So that's another movie that 30 years later, all of a sudden, hey, come down and go to the Egyptian theater. We're screening this movie. I'm like, okay, you know, I go, there's a line around the block. I'm like, what happened? It just became a cult classic. And when you make a movie, you just don't know what's going to happen with it. You know, you just do your best. You know, the results are out of your hands. And that one became something very special, again, that I was very lucky to be a part of. So I love to meet fans of that movie, and I love that movie, and I love what that movie's done for me. And it was, you know, at the time I thought, this is not going to be good. But it turns out it was great. It was brilliant. So just you never know.
Well, everybody remembers Linnae.
Oh, no shit. I got to see that in person, man. I was like stunned. I was a young, you know, I'd never seen anything like that. It was so cool. She's
I bet
amazing.
you a lot of us never saw anything like that.
Yeah, a lot of us have never seen anything like that. She was amazing.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, but yeah, I met her, and I met Tom Matthews, and you had another one I wanted to bring up. You mentioned, of course, Point Break brings you back into Surfer in action, and you got Patrick Swayze and Keanu Reeves, Gary Busey, Lori Petty. You have some interesting personalities in that film.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, and the director, Catherine Bigelow, and then it comes back to James Cameron from, you know, my first movie, you know, was Children of the Corn, and James Cameron's first movie with Linda Hamilton's, you know, big break was a James Cameron movie, Terminator, and or whatever that movie was called with Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's fucking great. I love it. But God, I love that movie. But yeah, James Cameron was on the set, and during the, you know, the entire time we were there, you know, him and Catherine Bigelow were a couple, and she was just a visionary director who just really, you know, right now they always talk about, oh, just a woman director, you know, woman director.
Yeah.
Point Break was a woman director, Catherine Bigelow, you know, and then she won an Academy Award for Hurt Locker. She was way ahead of her time. I mean, they weren't making such a big deal out of it then. She was such a baller. She was so great. But yeah, those, you know, that was a magic movie. I unfortunately I was playing a dick, and we were working out and dieting, and I was just an angry guy. I couldn't really fully appreciate what a wonderful experience that was, because I was playing such a dick, and that seeped into my personality. And, you know, not my memories. I have the greatest memories. We got to do some great stuff, but I was just always like, yeah, I'm an angry guy, and that's no fun. If I was a better actor or a different kind of actor, I could just have been like talking to Keanu and you know, having so much fun with all the other actors, instead of just being a, you know, badass surfer, cocky bank robber, you know. But that's what I was, and that's what happened. So yeah, the work in that's good, and that's a good movie. That's a really good movie.
Okay, Tombstone. That's one that a lot of people love.
I know, you know, what a cast.
What a cast.
So I was there for the table reading with the Kevin Jarre, and then it went well. I came back for the first day of shooting with him. You know, I didn't get to shoot any of my scenes with Kevin Jarre before he was replaced with George Cosmatos, but we went home and came back, and now we've got a different director. And he was kind of hard on us, on, you know, like, he goes, there's too many actors in this movie. You know, he's just used to one star. But everybody was an actor in that movie, you know, and they brought a lot to the table, and that movie turned out to be great. You know, with a lot of editing, they cut that script down, and they cut, you know, they edited it into an action love story between Val and Kilmer, and, you know, between Doc and Wyatt Earp, and it was beautiful. Kurt and Val were so good in that movie, and I just loved being a cowboy and being on the set. I loved riding horses. I love riding horses, and I love shooting guns. Look, we shot so many OK Corral scenes. We rehearsed so many times for the OK Corral. Not one mistake ever happened. One thing bad happened during filming with the guy that played my brother, Robert Burke, who's just a brilliant, super highly trained, amazing actor who had a small part, but every time he's on screen, he steals it. but he had one problem with a squib. But the OK Corral, there's so many shots and squibs and scenes that have to come together to make that perfect. And we nailed that in a master shot, you know, to the second and to the round. I was so impressed with our armory. You know, I'm only saying this because of what, you know, Alec Baldwin and what happened in Santa Fe, New Mexico, you know, and that cinematographer was killed on the set because a live round came out of a fucking gun that was pointed at her heart. I mean, it's just like inexcusable. This low budget thing, you know, like that is a travesty. But anyway, it's the opposite of Tombstone was the opposite of that. Just so well taken care of, great armors, you know, and great Western authentic, you know, gunfighting and men of the time, Sam Elliott and Bill Paxton. You just can't get the better cast than that. Billy Bob Thornton and just people, the women were insane. What a movie. That thing was great to be a part of. I was there till the last day too, just hanging out, riding horses, shooting guns in Tucson, Arizona. It was so much fun. I might go back there. I think they're having a reunion of Tombstone at Tombstone. I want to go. They're going to bring as many people as they can.
There you go. You got 3 more films I want to ask you about. Leviathan.
What was that about? Remind me.
A second. I have got to, because I've got to reschool myself on that one as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I think that probably was the title, but there was a time in my life when I wasn't really.
Yeah, it's Sarah Paulson in it, yeah. A teenage girl who gets pregnant after spending the night with a man she just met.
Yeah. I mean, I did like Bikini Beach Slaughter, you know, and Bikini Pool Party Massacre and, you know, Malibu surf stuff and The Perfect Fit. And I did Moonbase. I did a bunch of movies that were, you know, like low budget. And I don't know, they weren't very, you know, it's not that the movies are bad. They're not. It's like I was going through a difficult time in my life and my work was suffering, and for it, my career was suffering. It was just I slid into this.
Well, speaking of surfer, I mean, you got Blue Crush here, you got Soul Surfer. I saw Soul Surfer in the theater.
Oh no, yeah. As a surfer, I became more of a surfer than an actor, and I worked for surfing movies. You know, I was good at that, and I took that work seriously. But before that happened, I kind of slid into this thing where I didn't really know what I was doing in terms of a career, in terms of acting. So, you know, I know Sarah Paulson's in Leviathan. I'd like to know more about it because I literally can't remember.
Play a police officer in it.
Oh, if I had a scene with this beautiful black actor, this really tall, good-looking black actor who ended up doing these great commercials for car insurance. He had an insane voice. God, he was fucking great. I'll bet that's what it was. And I got to play a cop that pulled him over, but I didn't know the whole movie. All I knew was my scene. A cop that pulled a black guy over and we got in a fight. It's very topical now. I'd like to see that again.
There you go.
I'll have to look it up and try to pull from that. Because, yeah, I did a bunch of stuff I can't even remember now.
Yeah, I mentioned Blue
Doesn't speak very highly for me, my brain.
Soul Surfer and, yeah.
Oh, I mean, I remember everything about Soul Surfer. I mean, that was, you know, Helen Hunt gave me that job and I was teaching surfing for the cast. And then I got a small part in it and I met Bethany Hamilton and her mom. I took her mom surfing and, you know, I was a surf instructor at the time. That's how I got that part. And then she just threw me a bone to play a fuel reporter who asked a pretty important question at the end, but I wasn't a full-time actor back then. I would take anything I could get, but I was a surf instructor back then, you know, and a surf consultant for films and private lessons. So, yeah, and that movie turned out to be a big hit, you know, because the Christian angle and Bethany Hamilton's story is just unreal. So I got to meet, you know, Dennis Quaid.
There you go. Actually, speaking of Dennis Quaid, I forgot about this one. You did a movie with Randy Quaid. What was
yeah, I worked with his brother Randy.
Martians Go Home.
Yeah, that's a good title, huh? But you know, that was a comedy that Ed Pressman had something to do with, and I was really I was like the only not funny guy in it. Everyone else was hysterical, was like a comedian. And then
Mhm.
there was me, just like deadpan. That's not funny. Deliver the line and there'd be a pause and you just hear, that's not funny, but in the silence. But there was one night that me and Randy had a scene together and we couldn't stop. He couldn't stop laughing. I was as funny as I've ever been in my life. I'm only funny in one scene and I nailed it. And I just remember him not being able to, do his lines and people were laughing so hard. It doesn't come across when you watch it in the movie, but I'm like, do you know anybody famous? And it was just I was so sincere and so deadpan, and he just thought that was the funniest thing ever. It was so much fun. Yeah, Ed Pressman. Who wouldn't work with Ed Pressman? But you never know. That's a movie we thought, oh, this is going to be a cult hit, but it wasn't.
There you go. Well, you mentioned the conventions, talk about being part of those.
Well,
Well, my cat Skittles steps in and look
hi
at that, my
Skittles.
kitty.
What a good
Skittles.
kitty. I love kitties. Kitty, you got kitty. Skittles comes gives you kitty love right off the bat. You're his dad.
Yeah, yeah.
I
He's like,
married into a kitty. I got a step kitty that I married into.
yeah,
My wife has a cat named Keeper, but she doesn't, she didn't grow up with me. So I don't get the full face rubs that you're getting. I have to hold her down and pet her. But she likes to get pet and she likes it when I feed her and take her out. I love cats now, but I never had a cat until I married into one. So
yeah. I love my
I'm a cat
kitty.
dad.
He gets involved by Zoom interviews quite a bit.
That is so cute.
There you go.
What a
He's my
sweetie.
yeah.
I'm sorry, what was the question? Was it about, oh, the conventions? Yeah, let me talk about,
Yeah.
I love the conventions. It's kind of an acquired taste, what it gives me that's so amazing now is I get back together again with my cast from Children of the Corn or my cast, from Return of the Living Dead. They do these cast reunions and I love those people. They're family to me. And from so long ago when we were all just young actors, our first starting out, our first movies. And now we still get together and we talk. And then we get to meet fans who are our age or different ages, who are fans of the work. So it's a weird thing, but when I stopped working as an actor and I had like some problems, I thought I was a failure as an actor. I thought, oh, I failed. I couldn't see how lucky I was and how grateful now it's come around where I'm so grateful for all those opportunities. And that gets reestablished when I go to a convention where someone I've never met, doesn't know me, I don't know them, comes up and says, hey, I liked you in this. Thank you very much. And I realized, oh, I wasn't a failure. I did, everyone's got their roles to play in life, and I played my little roles and someone liked it and wants to talk to me and say thank you, because movies are so important to me and to other people, not to everyone, but movies are my religion at it, for a long time, movies were my religion. And that's the way it is for some people. And it's a cycle where the artist or the actor gets to meet the fan that, that's why you do it. You do it to touch someone. And if someone takes something positive away from it, you're the luckiest artist in the world. So the conventions are where you get to do the full circle and actually meet the people that you were working for, trying, even though you're doing it for yourself, but if there's no one there to appreciate it, it doesn't really matter. So it's where you see the appreciation for your work and you get to meet people that, also like some of the things you did. And that's a great thing. I love conventions. I do like 4 a year. And so
There you go.
it's fun for me.
What's the most unique thing you've ever been asked to sign?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Yeah. I mean, nothing dirty, nothing nasty, nothing sexy. Nothing sexy. I play nerds and, cowboys and weird, but it's I don't really get those kind of things where someone made something about me or something and they bring it to me to sign it. That hasn't really happened. I just sign posters and DVDs. The coolest things I sign are these albums that were made for Blu-ray disc, and you know, they're just so high tech from Japan or whatever. I mean, I'm just like, well, that is so cool. Those are the coolest things I sign.
There you go. Do you have any charities or a website or anything like that that you want to plug and promote on here that you're passionate about?
Well, my surf lessons I'm passionate about. It's just prosurfinstruction.com, and it's really cool. But you know, I think I might go FI-core. So I want anybody that wants to make a low budget horror film and just wants me to put me in it to go ahead and put me in it. I've just started acting again. So I want to play a bunch of old gas station attendants, you know, and, you know, red herring kind of crazy old guys. That's my goal. So
There you
just go
go.
to John Philbin and just find me on the internet and go, John Philbin's going to be in my next horror movie.
There you go. There you go. Well, you know what? It was wonderful having you come on here today, you know, and I'm glad you were patient with me, you know, because I got to figure out how to get on my laptop. Never
Yeah.
did one like this before, so this is kind of nice, you know.
Yeah.
So
You look comfortable.
yeah, Kitty's comfortable.
Kitty.
Yes,
Yeah, Greg, that was fun. Gilbert, that was
yeah,
great. Thanks.
absolutely. And when this is ready, I'll send it to you, and you can um, put it out there. And yeah, you mind if I add you on Facebook?
No, I want you to go ahead. I don't really go to it very often. I don't use it for very much, but I mean, I do go to it. I do stuff, but I don't use it for promotion that much. But just tell me, yeah, do whatever you want. You can
Sure.
do anything you want with this. Just tag me and stuff, and maybe it'll get out there. I don't really know how to do all that shit. But good
Well, you
luck.
know what? I appreciate you coming on here. And before I let you go, would you mind doing a plug for my show?
Yeah. What do I
Just
do?
state your name and say you're listening to Greg Gilbert on Python's Paradise.
Okay. Hey, my name's John Philbin, and I'm listening to Greg. No, wait. Okay, wait. Hey, my name's John Philbin, and you're listening to Greg Gilbert on Python's Paradise. One more time. Hey, it's John Philbin. You're listening to Greg Gilbert on Python's Paradise.
Yes, folks, and check out all these awesome movies that he is involved in, and a lot of cult classics in there. Check out John Philbin, and you know what? I appreciate you coming on here today. Thank you so much. Enjoy that California weather because we got the snow and ice here.
Yeah, yeah, it's nice here. I'm gonna go for a motorcycle ride right now.
Absolutely. Take care and God bless you.
All right, see you later. Thank you.
All right. Yep. Bye bye.
Bye.
Yep.